out at the research farm at Pleasant Plains, Illinois, and we're taking a look at the timing of applying our fungicide on our soybeans, and this year, each year is a little bit different for the ideal timing in my perspective of when to apply a fungicide and get the most out of it. Number one, if you've got disease moving in, if you're in an area down southern Illinois or along the rivers and you've got some really heavy disease moving in, you need to get it covered before the disease moves through those soybeans. But in absence of disease, which is probably 90% of the state of Illinois, we really need to frame in exactly when is that soybean going to get some stress, and how can we alleviate some of that stress through the use of this strobilurin fungicide to reduce the ethylene gas, allow the plant to metabolize its nutrition better by increasing photosynthesis, and that's what a strobilurin will do for us. So right now we've got a very vegetative bean. You can see that these beans are doing very well. The last couple of weeks, beans throughout the state have really been very vegetative. And so if we hit them too early, if we go to R2, R3 stage in a timing like this where we've got some moisture, we've got good weather conditions for vegetative growth, we'll actually increase vegetation, which isn't bad, but it really doesn't focus on giving us the biggest yield bang. What we want to do is really focus, so when's that soybean going to determine that it's going to quit growing vegetatively and stick that nutrition, that extra 21 days of strobilurin activity on the soybean into the pod and the seed, and to give us the most yield bang. And that's going to be at an R4 stage from what I've seen in the past. And with these vegetative beans, an R4 is where you can count from the top. If you look at each axle and you count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you count down 4 axles, and you looked at the length of the pod, and you should have a pod forming, and it should be in that ½ inch range. And you can also go down to the bottom of the plant and feel those pods at the bottom, some of the more mature pods, and if you start to feel a pretty good little bump there on the pod, that's indicating that bean's starting to send some nutrition towards that seed, and that's when we want to give it that additional help. Right now we're about 60 days away from when this plant first started putting on nodules. And then these little nitrogen nodules are what's creating a lot of this nutrition, that sunshine, that increase that we're going to get from the fungicide. And those are starting to wear out a little bit. And so that's what's really going to help us to get the most out of that fungicide, is about when those are getting a little bit on the weak side, 60 days after, and at the same time get that plant going back into a mode where it's utilizing all that nutrition that it currently has.